going to watch the film, and then we're going to do the most important part afterward, and let's talk about it a little bit. Talk about how it relates to us, how it relates to our communities here, how it relates to the city of Indianapolis. It basically revolves around the idea that the Civil War sort of destroyed Sierra Leone in ways that are hard for us here to understand fully.
The hope is that this film will help us recognize the impact and begin the process of making sure that we recognize there is a road to reconciliation, even through the most difficult times. Needless to say, we can talk about current events that are going on right now, but reconciliation is the theme of this whole film. So,
I've got two thoughts. The first one is, seeing this reminds me why I'm so proud to be an African, even though I didn't grow up in that culture. It's in me, and I'm very proud and very happy to be African. The second thing is that watching this, on the other side of my head, I kept thinking about the reality TV shows and how very opposite the effect is of those types of shows. And I think that's all because they are not in a spiritual context. They are not, you know, something that's done for the purpose of good. They're done for the purpose of, you know, tearing things apart, making things worse. They're not healing our communities here. And there are so many more and more every day of these reality TV shows coming out, you know, but they're not healing our communities. They're just making society more decadent and making it worse. So I'm very glad to see that when put in the proper context, you know, confessing and helps your soul to be free, helps to heal. Yeah.
Come iniquity from other human beings. So to me, it's a surprise, but it is beautiful that our people, my people, have endeavored to come across people like you, from us here, from our own area here in America and other places, to make a movie that can touch the lives of the people here and other places in my country as well, so that there will be a change in forgiveness, in accepting one another. So I just want to share that.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. My name is Isaac Toure. I'm from Ivory Coast. You guys know that we just come from this kind of turmoil in Ivory Coast. But I think in this movie, to be just focused on this movie, the thing really shocked me, even moved me more. It's just the spontaneous. How would I say it? Spontaneous. Yes, spontaneous. You know, attitude of those people in the village, willing to forgive and forget. Being an African myself, even sit here, and I was in Ivory Coast when the war broke out over there. I see how people was angry, people want to kill each other, they want to eat each other. And seeing that movie, see the way people, the villagers, was willing spontaneously to forgive, that made me cry. Because when the war broke out in those countries, believe me, the people opposite to each other, they want to kill each other. There's no sentiment. They're really angry, because I saw that in Ivory Coast. They get human being and just put it, you know, the tire and burn people alive in the tire. I saw that in Ivory Coast. So really, I just applaud those people in the movie, and I believe it's not only the camera, but I hope that it's really true forgiveness. It's really something really people need to focus on, because it's hard to forgive those kind of things. Even now in Ivory Coast, people still really trying to jump each other's throat, because, you know, so it takes time to forgive. But 10 years, of course, now people get healing, the passion is going, people start doing stuff. So it's the only thing I was trying to say about this.
Be able to get rid of some of that anger he had been holding on to, and still say, okay, now I know you've confessed, now I can forgive. But that was so real. That was such a real and honest moment of somebody just being human and yet saying, I can get past this is what my people want, this is what we need. And I think the critical part of that reconciliation is coming together, working together, seeing each other every day, beginning to represent themselves to each other in a different way.
Yeah.
So that for me was very powerful. That people, too many times to say, yes, I forgive you, and you go away, and I never have to lay eyes on you again, that's one thing. But to have to come together every day, to work as a people in a community, that's where the healing happens.
Despite the anguish and pain they suffered, they were able to forgive. And I've suffered things done to family members, like killed or shot, and it was just very difficult for me to forgive, but just to watch those people forgive whole entire families and just do a dance and just forgive, that was the epitome of just full forgiveness. And that's something to me I could learn from.
I think more needs to happen. I think that the film should be seen again and again, and more discussion needs to take place about building community and healing as a community. We push so much for rugged individualism in this country, and I don't know that we recognize the damage we do when we do that. And I saw that when there's a sense of community, horrible things can happen, and people can still heal. But when the community's not there, there's no healing.
I just finished viewing the film Fambul Tok, which is family talk in the Sierra Leone language. And what I have to say about it, it was talking about the healing process a lot and reconciliation. And what I really liked about it is that the women were able to come forward and express their concerns and feelings and not feel threatened of the atrocities that had been put on them. But as far as the family talk together, my family does talk together a lot, and it would really help for the community here in Indianapolis to see this film and to have a spirit for it and to keep moving forward. So, but I thank you.
I think it was a very interesting film. I've never seen anything quite like that, and to see that, that there's a culture that can be cultivated within the people to be able to forgive those type of atrocities is kind of encouraging. So we need to start to kind of bring that culture here to what we do in the United States.
It was very inspiring, you know. Wish that people here, you know, can look at things the way as they do. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Now, my name is Issa Touré. It's my first time to meet Cindy. And I think the documentary name, what's the name of the company?
Fambul Tok.
Okay, Fambul Tok, sorry. Fambul Tok movie is a documentary about reconciliation somewhere in Sierra Leone. I think the documentary was wonderful. I think the thing really got me really excited is just the way the movie been made. The movie been made, I believe, in a low budget. 1 million is not low budget, but compared to all those the government spend, the money they spend, I think the movie was fantastic. It touched really the core of the subject they needed in Sierra Leone. I think that part, being a movie maker myself, I think I was impressed about that. And on top of that, after the movie we showed, after we seen the documentary, I think the discussion we have after the documentary was kind of productive, even instructive, because a lot of people intervened. But I love the direct dialogue we did, how it gave us a chance to know each other and to really, I would say, to have some grip about, you know, to know everybody's feeling about the movie. I mean, the documentary. It was a good show. I have to be honest. I want to recommend everybody to come to see this documentary. It's really something, especially Black Americans. They need to see this because the shooting and the community, the hatred, it may not be similar to what we saw in Sierra Leone, but we need to get together to stop being what we are, because we've been cheap. We've been cheaping ourselves. We've been cheaping ourselves for a long time and keep blaming other people for our action. We need to come together, and everybody need to watch this movie, this documentary, to have this self, how they say, this self-judgment about how to take care of themselves in the community, how to deal with each other in the community here in America. I think the movie is interesting. If everybody can come to see this movie, it will be, because I see the lady, she was literally crying, emotion, because she lost her kids and the daughter in the shooting. Now she feels like she can forgive whoever did that. I think
it raised a lot of questions. It answered some questions, but it raised a lot more as far as I'm concerned.
Me personally, I was kind of envious of their family circle. Kind of just watching how their family circle initially was and how the invader or the perpetrator was able to come in and divide and conquer amongst their own. Like he took a loving family and wanted to destroy it, and he used his own family members to do that. Like nothing hurts more than have to kill your own father or brother or aunt or children, and they made you do it, and you made you join a club or an army that you didn't want to be a part of, but then to slaughter and kill your own people, knowing how important the family infrastructure was, that to me was major.
But I wonder how many people refused to kill and do what they said, and then they got killed themselves. There's probably thousands that refused to do what they wanted to do, and then they were killed. And you don't hear about them because they were dead. You know? So it's.
But the largest thing was how forgiveness and remorse work together.
Yeah.
You had to be able to be remorseful to be forgiven. In order to receive the the forgiveness, you had to receive the person's remorsefulness. And they work together. You just can't give forgiveness if nobody's willing to forgive or no one's ever to step up and say, I'm sorry. So that was the largest thing that I learned.
I think that I learned.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the one thing that I learned is that forgiveness comes within self. I'm not lived over there, but I've endured some pain that I thought that I could have never. Well, I thought I had forgiven, and I really hadn't forgiven. And pray that hopefully the perpetrator can have remorse, because at the time he doesn't, so that he cannot have the power over us anymore, so that I can rebuild my community. I think that is the strongest thing, because I think, like my sister said, once you have remorse, the forgiveness comes easy. And I don't feel that he has that remorse.
But even if the perpetrator doesn't recognize that they should have remorse or whatever, you can't let that stop you from forgiving them, because otherwise that burden's on you.
Over you.
And so you've got to let it go. You know, I mean, even though they didn't do what you hoped they would do, if they knew that you felt this way about them and forgave them, they still may not recognize that their behavior was hurtful to you. So after you tell them and everything, then if they don't recognize it and recognize their actions, then you got to move on
and maybe because I don't know, because he's in jail right now, so I don't know. Whereas community could address it. I can't address it because we have those bars between us. So that may be something that I might have to just say, hey, do you have real remorse? And if you do, you do. You don't, you don't. At the end of the day, it still starts with me.
My name is Will Rivers. The film Fambul Tok really took me aback. I was amazed at the ministry of healing, and that is what I come away with. That there is such a thing as healing after having had such atrocities committed against you and your family, and having had your own family members do these things, whether it was under duress or because they wanted to be a part of it or whatever, but there is a ministry of healing, and I would like very much to promote that within our community, to show that to individuals who feel like I have felt. I have committed on my own quite a few atrocities, and some should not even be mentioned, but knowing that there is a capacity in the human psyche to forgive, that helped me to excel myself. I would say sometimes individuals have problems or things that they're struggling with, and feel like, what's the use? Because they don't feel like they can fit in anymore. They don't feel like I can be a part of anymore. But this ministry of healing can let an individual know that you can come up out of that frame of mind and gain a new heart and a new perspective, and know that you are forgiven and you can deal with your community and your family and be loved and cherished and welcomed again, and you can experience a spirit of welcome. So I would very much like to promote that feeling, and I call it a spirit of healing. And so I thank you for the film and for this being able to be a part of it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Really touched me. I think it's the kind of film that should be shown not just here locally in Indianapolis, but it should be distributed across the country and promoted by grassroots people who want to promote the feelings of confession and forgiveness. We often think of this as something that's done in church, okay? But what we just saw in that film helps us to appreciate that this is something that can be done in a community. And I would certainly recommend it highly for any community activists who are looking for a tool to promote unity, to promote confession, to promote forgiveness, so a community might be able to come together and start functioning as one, as opposed to separate, disparate groups of people who don't know one another. That's my take on the film.
A movie about reconciliation and the process that they use in Sierra Leone in Africa after the war. My impression is that there is peace in reconciliation. People were interviewed who had suffered tremendous atrocities to their families, to themselves, had seen tremendous atrocities, who had committed tremendous atrocities. But the process incorporates peace and healing in unity and family and communication. And if that were an ideology that we would use and utilize and spread not only throughout our communities but throughout the world, we may not see many or much of the bloodshed, much of the disparities that there are now, but baby steps. We have to walk slowly and build. And what I saw in the movie is that it is something that can be done. We already have a working model through this movie to see that if we utilize this process, it could be a successful process worldwide. I loved it. I really did. Thank you.